Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. The summer evening was balmy as we eased into the hot tub, soaking up the tranquility of an August night. My wife, Elaine, was seated beside me, while her mother, Lydia, lounged across from her. Elaine looked radiant in a bold bikini, whereas Lydia chose a more conservative one-piece swimsuit. Elaine, already a few glasses into the evening, was animated and full of chatter. Meanwhile, I, never much of a drinker, sipped slowly on my first glass of wine, and Lydia, who abstained completely due to work obligations the next day, simply listened. The two women, nearly identical in build, often looked like twins from afar. Up close, though, Lydia's sharper features, her angular nose, defined chin, and slender hands, betrayed her age and experience. Our Friday nights were always predictable, a movie followed by a relaxing soak in the hot tub. Earlier, we'd watched a film about a woman rediscovering love in her 50s. Lydia, who had Elaine when she was just 16, was now 45, and her youthful demeanor often made her seem more like Elaine's older sister than her mother. Despite their close relationship, the two frequently squabbled over trivial things. That night, their post-movie conversation took an unexpectedly compelling turn. Elaine, intrigued by the film's theme, asked, "What about you, Mom? Do you ever think about getting married again?" Lydia hesitated briefly before responding, "I'm in love, but the future is uncertain." Elaine's jaw dropped. "Wait, what? You're in love? With who? I haven't seen you date anyone in forever." Lydia's response was calm but candid. "He's married." Elaine was visibly stunned. "You're in love with a married man? You, the same person who always says cheaters are the worst kind of people? Seriously?" "I'm not involved with him," Lydia clarified. "I'm just in love with him. He has no idea." Elaine's disbelief only deepened. "Are you kidding me? Are you stalking someone, Mom? Who is this guy?" Lydia maintained her composure. "I'm not a stalker, and it's none of your concern. My name is John, and I recently turned 35. Elaine, 6 years younger, is my wife. For 10 years I worked on offshore oil rigs, a job that paid well but left little opportunity for a personal life. Elaine and I initially met through work when she was 22 and part of the accounting department. Our first interactions were purely digital, emails filled with light-hearted exchanges and subtle flirtation. Oddly, I didn't know what she looked like until much later, after I returned to Houston. At 30, I left my career on the rigs to start a new chapter. A temporary role at the Department of Internal Affairs brought Elaine and me face to face again when she processed my paperwork. Once we were employed at different companies, we began dating. For someone like me, who had never experienced a serious relationship, Elaine was mesmerizing. She wasn't a supermodel, but her quiet confidence and genuine kindness were captivating. Before me, her only serious relationship had been her high school sweetheart, a bond that faded during college. Our relationship progressed at its own pace. After 10 dates over the span of 3 months, we became physically intimate. A lakeside picnic, coupled with wine and the romantic ambiance of a nearby couple, proved to be the catalyst. That evening, back at my place, our connection deepened in a way that was both exciting and comforting. Elaine, reserved by nature, was initially a quiet partner, but as time passed, we found a harmonious rhythm in our intimacy. Just before we began dating, I had bought a cozy house on a small lake, a short drive from my workplace. After our wedding, Elaine moved in, and within a year, we welcomed twin daughters. Life became a whirlwind of diaper changes and late-night feedings. Elaine returned to work 2 months after the twins were born, and Lydia stepped in as a live-in caregiver to help us navigate the chaos. Her late-night shifts at a medical device assembly plant meant she was often around during the day to assist with the girls. Lydia has been living with us for 2 years now, and while her presence is invaluable, Elaine sometimes feels uneasy about the arrangement. Despite this, our household remains filled with laughter and warmth. Lydia, for all her complexities and personal challenges, is a devoted grandmother who brings love and stability into our lives. Though she deserves companionship, she seems content for now, focusing on family over her personal aspirations. As for us, Juggling two toddlers and a live-in mother-in-law is anything but dull. Life may not be glamorous or filled with extravagant social events, but it's rich with love, small joys, and the occasional surprise, like discovering that even the people closest to us hold secrets of their own. We rarely did much beyond inviting a few close friends over for an evening of steaks and quiet conversation. Elaine's concerns left me puzzled. Lydia had been nothing but a positive influence in our household. She cared for the girls with enthusiasm and fairness, even contributing to chores like cleaning and laundry without being asked, as her way of showing gratitude for staying with us. Not long ago, we loaned her $800. She'd mentioned needing it for a down payment, but kept the details vague. Elaine and I thought it over carefully before agreeing. Lending money to someone living under your roof feels far more personal than helping out a distant sibling. Lydia assured us she'd pay it back in monthly installments of $200. Yet the topic lingered between us, even as we dried off from our morning showers, the discussion becoming unexpectedly heated. "What does he look like?" I asked. "Who?" Elaine shot back, clearly irritated. "Your boyfriend," I teased. "None of your business," she retorted sharply. "Where does he work? How'd you meet him?" I pressed on. "I'm not telling you a thing," she replied with finality. The morning continued with us tidying up the house before heading off to work. Strangely, the tension from our earlier exchange seemed to ignite a spark between us, leading to one of the most intense moments of connection we'd shared in months. "What got into you today?" I asked later, still catching my breath. "It's just the thought of Mom having a love life," she confessed. "It feels odd, doesn't it? I forget sometimes. She's not just Mom, she's a person. If I've got this straight, she hasn't even been with him yet, right? So technically he's not her lover," I pointed out. Elaine laughed softly. "True, but it's still intriguing." Thinking back, our relationship before marriage had been predictable, not unlike our current family routine. Elaine became pregnant shortly after we wed, and soon our lives revolved around raising twins, juggling careers, and caring for her mother. It left little room for spontaneity in the bedroom. Even so, Elaine made sure I never felt completely forgotten. I cherished the simple intimacy of holding her close and inhaling the scent of her skin. Elaine wasn't shy about being playful, especially lately. Just the other day, she'd surprised me with an unusual but oddly enjoyable move using her feet. That evening after dinner, the conversation took a surprising turn once more. "Mom, why wait around for this guy?" Elaine asked. "Why not look for someone who's actually available?" "Love doesn't work that way," Lydia replied. "When you're in love, it's hard to see anyone else." "And how long are you planning to wait?" Elaine pushed. "I think I've got a real chance," Lydia said confidently. "I have a feeling his wife's cheating on him. If he kicks her out, I'll be there fluffing his pillows before her perfume fades." Elaine gaped. "Mom!" "What?" Lydia shrugged. "Haven't you ever been in love? Remember the father of your kids?" Elaine pressed on. "Let's say his wife is cheating. What do you think he should do about it?" "Oh, there are plenty of ways to handle that," Lydia mused darkly. "Poison, smothering in her sleep, an accidental overdose, maybe even a late-night car crash with a conveniently placed shot." She smirked. "I still have that pistol case in the basement." Elaine shook her head, exasperated. "There she is, the mom I know, always ready to deal with cheaters." Lydia's past lent weight to her words. Years earlier, she'd been engaged, only to discover her fiancé had brought another woman over while babysitting a young Elaine. Enraged, Lydia couldn't remember the combination to her gun safe. By the time she found it, the man had fled. She still managed to fire off a few rounds at his car as he sped away. No one ever saw him again. To this day, movies about infidelity enraged her. She firmly believed every cheater deserved the harshest punishment possible. It was startling, a kind woman harboring such unrelenting anger. Clearly, betrayal had left a wound she'd never fully healed. Lydia embodied the saying, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned." Our neighborhood thrived on camaraderie, centered around bi-weekly barbecues hosted in rotation by a dozen families. The retired Harmons and the newlywed Seymours, who were even younger than us, were part of the regular group. Rex Hansen, the next host, was an avid gun collector. I'd seen his collection, meticulously organized and gleaming. Hunting filled his weekends, and he spent weekdays cleaning his weapons with obsessive care. Once I'd watched him demonstrate his process, soaking parts in cleaning solution while puffing a cigar. Today, Lydia stayed home with the kids while Elaine and I attended another barbecue. These gatherings weren't always drama-free. Occasionally, someone would cross a line, testing the limits of their spouse's patience. But Elaine never gave me any reason to be suspicious. Later that night, as we wound down, the conversation inevitably returned to Lydia. "If he leaves his wife," Elaine asked, "why are you so sure he'd choose you?" Lydia smiled, a glint of certainty in her eyes, as though the answer was too obvious to say aloud. "That unsettles me. If I approach him too quickly, before his anger has subsided, I might destroy any chance I have. I need to figure out how to convey my interest subtly and hope for the best outcome. Maybe it's time to start dropping discreet clues. Elaine, if I ever got the chance to prove his wife's infidelity, I wouldn't hesitate. Until then, he's a happily married man and I won't interfere. So are you keeping tabs on his wife?" "Just a little. Stop prying. Let's watch the movie instead." Everything was quiet until the following Tuesday. I was at my desk when my carefully controlled world fell apart. Overnight, an envelope had arrived, containing several photos and a flash drive with a video. It confirmed what I feared. Elaine and Rex were having an affair. The images captured their meeting from the previous day and other similar rendezvous on earlier Mondays. The video recorded their encounter from the day before. How does a lover receive all the attention and passion that a husband is denied? I could count on one hand the times she entertained certain suggestions from me, always met with disinterest and weeks of avoidance. Yet there she was, willingly indulging Rex without a second thought. After their intimacy, they clung to each other as if nothing else existed. Once, I had suggested we try something new only to be dismissed immediately. But now, I overheard her telling him, "Not this time, I'm still sore from last time." Instead, she adjusted herself differently, allowing him to continue until he was satisfied. "I'm not going home tonight," she said. "Some things you can never unsee or unhear." I sent Elaine a text, claiming I had urgent business in New Orleans and would be gone for a few days. I returned home to pack the essentials. Anything forgotten could be bought later. The girls were asleep, and Lydia was likely napping too. I moved silently, undetected, pausing only to kiss the girls on their foreheads before slipping out. At work, I requested a few days off and stopped by HR to start some administrative changes. I sought out a divorce attorney and began the standard procedures. I opened new bank accounts, transferring half our funds into them. Since Elaine had her own credit cards, I wasn't concerned about those. On my lawyer's advice, I left the health insurance unchanged, as I'd still be responsible until the divorce was finalized. We also began appraising the value of my home. With these preparations complete, I turned my attention to revenge. Rex would be my first target. Each evening, I called Elaine around dinner time to avoid suspicion. I casually mentioned that the patio needed some repairs and asked her to pick up painting supplies from the hardware store. When I returned home on Friday, I told Elaine that a coughing passenger on my flight had left me feeling unwell. She seemed concerned, but I kept my distance, avoiding her touch. Though I longed to hug my girls, I maintained the charade. Elaine informed Lydia that our usual Friday movie night and hot tub routine were canceled. By Saturday morning, I claimed to feel better and suggested we attend a neighborhood barbecue. That evening, I observed nothing inappropriate between Rex and Elaine, just polite, distant greetings. Excusing myself, I left for my car and headed to Rex's basement. Rex had a penchant for gambling and a habit of cleaning his firearms on Tuesdays. Among the supplies Elaine had picked up was a can of paint stripper. Wearing latex gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints, I poured out the liquid in his cleaning jar, replacing it with the paint stripper before returning it to the shelf. Both were clear and colorless, making the substitution undetectable without close inspection. Rex, who smoked cigars while cleaning his guns, was unlikely to notice the difference. This oversight could prove fatal. The warning label clearly stated the product was dangerous in unventilated spaces. If Rex stayed too long, he'd experience disorientation, suffocation, or worse. I returned to the barbecue unnoticed. By Wednesday, a hazmat team was seen removing a body bag. Rex had met an untimely end. Such a shame. How hard is it to read a warning label? It feels surreal that something so easily obtainable could cause such destruction. That evening, the 10 o'clock news ran a segment about the risks associated with the specific paint stripper. On my way home, I kept up my act of obliviousness. Elaine's eyes were red from crying, while Lydia busied herself by caring for the girls. Dinner was unusually silent. "What's wrong, Elaine? You look upset," I asked, pretending to be concerned. "John, haven't you heard?" she whispered. "Heard what?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "They found Rex dead," she said. "Already scouting for a replacement?" I replied. "A replacement? What are you even talking about?" she retorted, her voice trembling. "Elaine, you'll move on. You'll find someone else to keep your bed warm." The remark struck her like a physical blow. She blinked, dazed. What are you even talking about?" she asked, her voice trembling. "It's exactly what it sounds like. You've been involved with Rex," I said flatly. Her face contorted in shock and indignation. "That's ridiculous. I would never—" she started, but I didn't let her finish. "And now that he's out of the picture, you'll be looking for your next partner. Don't even try to deny it. For all I know, you were the last person to see him alive." Her voice quivered as she protested. "This is absurd. I haven't done anything wrong." "Are you sure about that? Would you like to see the evidence? I've got photos." "Even videos," I said, pushing further. Before Elaine could respond, Lydia chimed in from the side, her tone laced with curiosity. "Can I see them?" Elaine's eyes widened in horror. "Mom! No!" she cried, her voice rising in panic. Sensing how far the situation had spiraled, I attempted to rein it in. "We need to calm down. Let's take a moment. I'll explain everything," I offered, though it was clear Elaine wasn't buying my attempt at diplomacy. Lydia left the room briefly and returned with something in her hand. She extended it toward Elaine, saying, "Here, have this. Or maybe a bath would help. You look like you need to relax." Instead of taking the suggestion, Elaine bolted from the room, darting down the hall and slamming the bedroom door behind her. Lydia followed, trying the handle. "You can run, but you can't hide, Elaine," she called, her voice sharp. Moments later, Elaine reappeared, shoving past Lydia with a purse, a small suitcase, and a duffel bag in tow. Without a word, she stormed out, leaving the front door swinging open behind her as her car sped down the driveway. "John, could you come here for a moment?" Lydia called after the dust settled. I found her in my room, adjusting the pillows. "When the time comes, I want a fair shot," she said, handing me a piece of paper. It was an invoice from a private investigator detailing an $800 deposit. Scribbled at the bottom was a note in her handwriting. "John, I might need help covering the rest." I leaned in and kissed her, a kiss far too intimate for a mother-in-law. "You deserve more than just a fair shot. I'll let you know when the time comes," I said. Since Elaine's departure, the house has been eerily quiet. Surprisingly, she hasn't reached out, not even for the twins. Lydia, on the other hand, has taken on the role of caretaker with grace and competence. Meanwhile, Elaine's trail of ATM withdrawals points to the West Coast. If she thinks she's draining my accounts, she's in for a surprise. I moved my half of the funds before she could. Divorce proceedings are in full swing, and she's been served at her workplace in Bakersfield. According to my attorney, her absence makes her custody battle almost unwinnable. Abandoning 2-year-old twins doesn't bode well in court. Every morning I kiss Lydia goodbye before work and greet her with another kiss when I return. She's been radiant lately, often wearing makeup and perfume. In a swimsuit, she rivals Elaine. My anger is slowly fading, but healing takes time. One quiet evening after the twins were asleep and the house had settled into stillness, Lydia spoke up. "John, can I ask you something? You don't have to answer if it's too personal." "Go ahead," I replied, curious. "I saw the video. Was Elaine like that with you?" "Not at all," I admitted. "In the beginning, I suggested trying some of what she apparently did with Rex, but she was always so disengaged. It was like she wasn't even there." Lydia nodded thoughtfully. "I haven't done most of what I saw, but I've always felt that with the right person, I'd want to try. But I'm not into sharing. Just me and my partner, no one else. Her words struck a chord. That night, I asked Lydia if she'd consider going on a date with me once the divorce was finalized. She smiled and agreed, adding that she appreciated my commitment to not breaking my vows beforehand. I wanted her to know I wasn't a cheater. Elaine hasn't fought for custody. The twins are staying with me. With the divorce nearing its conclusion, I'm ready to start a new chapter, with Lydia by my side. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.